discussions about sustainability and acknowledging that we are in a scenario of urgency with climate change. It's inevitable to talk about that. And the Museum of Tomorrow has a fundamental contribution to bring together everybody about these subjects. And I'm talking about everybody, specifically about our today's discussion about the importance of understanding financial education and understanding the economy as a collective construction so that it's a fundamental instrument for us to create the social transformations that we need, especially in a city like Rio de Janeiro that adopted me, that has everything that I need, that needs to be recognized as the capital of sustainable investments, and to become a global reference in carbon credit economy. And from the Northeast, where I'm from, we like grandeur. And just as a reminder, from the inauguration, Chicano, in December 2015, and the Museum of Tomorrow is the most visited museum in South America with over 5 million visitors and several prizes. But not only that, since then, the Museum of Tomorrow has been making an inventory of greenhouse gas emissions in addition to the mitigation of these emissions. And for that, I'm proud. Once again, I want to thank you for your presence, and let's celebrate this morning of discussions. But we'll also celebrate the launch of the Center of Reference of the Museum of Tomorrow. And I invite you to stay and hear about this Center of Financial Reference for the Museum of Tomorrow. Thank you.
Obrigado, Maria Garibaldi, pelas.
Thank you, Maria Garibaldi, for your words. And good morning, everybody. Welcome to this event to launch the report of policies and practices of sustainability practices and policies for corporate governance in Brazil. This has been a joint event around the cooperation, the OECD and the CVM, with the purpose of supporting the development of the regulation of the capitals market related to the risk of sustainability faced by publicly traded companies. This event is being hosted by the OCDE and CVM with the support of the British Embassy, CVM, and the Museum of Tomorrow. This event is also being broadcast through the CVM educational channel on YouTube. I'm the Chief of Communications at CVM, and I'll be your host this morning. I am 1.80 meters tall. I am wearing a dark suit and glasses. And for the opening speech, I want to invite the Director of Financial Subjects for OCDE, Carmine Di Noia.
You allow me. Okay, so thanks a lot, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to be in Rio and for the launch event of our report, Sustainability Policies and Practices for Corporate Governance in Brazil. I would like to thank actually all the collaboration with the CVM. I mean, I don't see Marcelo Barbosa, the chair, but I'm happy he has always been supportive. Flavia Pelingero is here, but I'm also very happy to see the future chair, João Pedro Nascimento of CVM, and I really hope that all the intense, support and collaboration with the OECD and CVM will increase. I also, I'm very happy to be here in this place, and I also want to show my appreciation for the mayor, even if he cannot be here, Eduardo Paes, because he really wanted us, his willingness to host us today in this, magnificent museum, first time for me, and even walking and arriving here is really amazing. This is the future. And Rio is one of the cities that easily comes to everyone's mind when we think about sustainability, and the city administration effort to make Rio a green investment hub are commendable, and I really hope that you will achieve this goal. I want also to thank the support of UK and so to Councillor Georgina I for accepting our invitation to speak today about the UK experience with regulating sustainability matters in the corporate sector. The UK has a leading role in this area, and it is thanks to the UK generous funding that the OECD has been able to develop the report we are launching today. The report is the output, as it was mentioned, of a joint project involving the OECD, the Brazilian government, and CVM to support the development of capital market regulation related to sustainability risks faced by public companies. The underlying objective of the project is to provide research and analysis to support Brazil's effort to strengthen the framework for corporate disclosure, the responsibilities of companies' boards, and shareholder rights in alignment with the G20 OECD principles of corporate governance, where Brazil as G20 country by always has been a part, UK has always been active participants, and many of all regulators, and this is very important. We are actually in the process of the revision of the principle. We may say a word afterwards. The report really does not present explicitly a list of policy recommendations to Brazil, because actually our plan is to have a second phase of the report with CVM to develop a specific policy recommendation. But actually the development then of the recommendation, we want also to do this in close collaboration with the stakeholders. And this is essential to have a credible and thoughtful report. Beforehand, the research and analysis in the report we're launching today already give a lot of food for thought for policymakers, at least we think and we hope, and for market players in the country. So we're confident that the report is already practical for the government, for CVM, and with a lot of insights. So finally, let me finish by congratulating CVM and Rio Cities Administration for the establishment of the Center of Reference for Finance tomorrow. I wish the new center great success, and I hope it will be able to work closely actually with the OECD, CVM, Center on Financial Literacy and Education in Latin America and the Caribbean. I visited yesterday with Vasco, and then at CVM it was I was very happy, and see also the enthusiasm, how you're really building a lot of, more and more culture, and it's very important that we start from the beginning to have financial education to build also the citizens and investors for the future. So I'm looking forward to fruitful discussion in the following session, and I think I stop here. Thank you very much.
E para fazer uso da palavra, convidamos a diretora da CVM.
And now I'll invite Flavia Perlingero, Director of CVM.
Muito bom dia, agradeço as boas-vindas.
Thank you, good morning. And I want to thank Maria Garibaldi. I'm Flavia Perlingero, Director of CVM. And I am a woman from Rio de Janeiro, mid-height, and I'm wearing trousers and a gray suit. I want to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Carmen de Noia, Director for Financial and Enterprise Affairs for OECD, and Ms. Georgina Eyre, Trade and Economic Counselor for the UK Embassy in Brasilia, and also my colleagues from CVM, and everybody else who is here honoring us with their presence on this Tuesday morning. To me, it's a pleasure and an honor to participate in the opening of this event, representing the president of CVM, Marcelo Barbosa, who unfortunately was otherwise engaged and was unable to be with us. But with that, I had this opportunity to resume the in-person events of CVM at such a symbolic location as this museum. It's also a dual celebration day because we're here to launch the OECD report about sustainability policies and practices for corporate governance in Brazil, and also to launch the Center of Financial Reference of the Museum of Tomorrow, a result of the cooperation between CVM and Invest.Rio that will be headquartered here at the Museum of Tomorrow. And these are practical, concrete results of partnerships that are being extremely successful on behalf of strengthening the Brazilian capital market, CVM, Rio de Janeiro, our country, and society as a whole. Then to talk about the first part of the agenda, the report that will be launched today is a result of this successful partnership between CVM and OECD, and that once again had financial support from the Prosperity Fund from the UK. It shows an important map of the ESG scenario in Brazil and globally, including corporate governance, such as and other subjects such as the responsibility of shareholders and the tools to exercise shareholders' rights and their effective engagement, and especially the transparency in disclosing high-quality information around the ESG subjects, aspects that are fundamental to strengthen the capital market. The core of CVM's attributions and mission is to regulate and monitor a transparent, sustainable, and increasingly efficient and competitive capital market globally. This is the first delivery of a project that we hope will continue so that we can discuss in greater depth at a second phase the findings that will be presented here, the international trends, and possible paths that we can take in this effort, especially if we consider every effort that's being made internationally in search for greater convergence, consistency, and reliability about the ESG data, at a point where we also discuss the updating of the corporate governance principles of OECD. This is a very accurate report that results from an analysis and research that contextualizes the main discussions about ESG, giving important assets collected from Brazilian companies and managers whose methodology is clearly described in the report, both concerning the status quo of their policies and practical references, thus complementing recent initiatives taken by the CVM. It's also worth mentioning that previously undertaken actions between the Ministry of the Economy and CVM with the financial support of the Prosperity Fund and the corporate governance of OECD, this has been yielding good results year after year with an immense value for the improvement of our policies to better align the Brazilian laws and regulations with the ESG principles of the G20 and OECD. This morning, we'll have the opportunity to discuss these main findings and what CVM's been doing around the ESG agenda, certain that these materials will serve as a reference for the progress of this discussion at CVM in Brazil. The second part of the morning will be dedicated to the launch of the new educational center as set forth by the agreement with Invest.Rio last year. This new initiative puts the state of Rio de Janeiro and the scenario of other states that are part of a network of financial integration, financial education, launched by the Ministry of Education and SEBRAE. This alliance supports the expansion of financial education in Brazil and combines wide scope subjects with local needs, mixing in-person and remote activities. This is not only about expansion, but really about considering the realities of local partners, their vocations, possibilities, needs, and challenges. In some states, the partners of CVM are secretariats of development, and in others of technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship. But in all of them, the biggest goal is around education and technical discussion to foster the social and economic development of Brazil, forming a culture of market investment, and entrepreneurship. And we were therefore pleased to hear that the partnership between CVM and Invest.Rio found in Rio de Janeiro the support of the IDG, setting the ground for the initiative related to technology, innovation, and sustainability, a concept that the Museum of Tomorrow represents in the context of Rio. This is not only about architectural lines that make this building one of the icons of the city, but rather this is about having found partners that establish an environment that fosters the transformation of reality. Another significant aspect of this launch that I cannot shy away from mentioning is the launch in the city that hosted 45 years ago the then recently implemented CVM, and the then Minister of Finance, Roberto Teixeira da Costa. This is being pursued with dedication by all of the presidents and directors of CVM, with the support of the technical body of the agency. And this physical proximity will facilitate the connection with other initiatives by CVM, such as the Lab of Financial Innovation at CVM, the IDB, and GIZ, the biggest public-private platform around sustainable finance and financial education, in addition to the Center of Reference for Finance in Latin America and the Caribbean, launched at the headquarters of CVM in 2016 as the first center of financial education of the OECD outside of Paris. The initiative connects regulators and governments of the entire region around themes such as the protection of investors and sustainable finance. It's quite significant that today we have the representatives of OECD, and this is a historical moment for CVM. And in the next months, may it be explored, as mentioned by Mr. Carmen, and that we may explore the possibility of connecting the two centers, and with this partnership of the regulator and OECD. And finally, I cannot shy away from thanking all of the partners that made this possible, that could only occur thanks to the spirit of the Sustainable Goals 17. The immense challenges of sustainable development can only be overcome with the coordinated action among all of the stakeholders around the shared goals. Therefore, it's with an immense pleasure that I want to greet IDG that joined this partnership to make this educational center possible, a solution that will certainly be most useful for this wonderful city. Hopefully these discussions will be fruitful, and thank you for your attendance.
E convidamos agora a...
And now we'll invite the Trade and Economic Counselor for the UK Embassy in Brazil, Georgina Eyre.
Bom dia, muito obrigada, Flávia.
Good morning. I'm sorry, but I'll speak Portuguese. I'll speak English because my Portuguese is not enough to talk about such important things.
It's a real pleasure to be here, so thank you. And thank you for all of the hard work that has gone into producing this report. First of all, to say I agree. I think it's entirely appropriate that we're here meeting in Rio, and we're here at the Museum of Tomorrow. Rio is positioning itself very well as a green financial centre, and what we're talking about today are things that will be the future of today, even though the report is of very much of the present. And it's excellent to hear that we'll be moving into a second phase, and I very much look forward to seeing that. It feels right that the report is being launched now. It very much feels that we're at a moment where all of us are pivoting towards a green future. We very much talk about the issue of green growth, and that's something that we as the British government have been talking very much with Brazil and with our counterparts. But governments alone won't be able to achieve this. It's very much something that all stakeholders, including the private sector, will be driving forwards. And having ESG as part of that and having standards for that is exactly right, and we've moved part of that pivoting process. We're incredibly pleased that we've been part of this report. It's something that we felt incredibly strongly about, and that trilateral cooperation between the OECD and the government of Brazil has been fantastic. So thank you for that partnership. We've very much enjoyed being part of that. And as I always say, reports are of the now, but they are reports. And what really matters is what comes out of that and the change that they brings about. And I feel incredibly confident from the work that we've both done through this programme, but the work that we're doing more broadly here in Brazil on ESG will really see a change that will be the important part of what comes out of this report. And change is afoot. I'd like to say congratulations to the government of Brazil on commencing the accession to the OECD. That's something that we have been working very hard with the government, and I'm very much looking forward to joining the roadshow of the accession roadmap, which will be kicking off this afternoon in Brasilia, and I will be flying back up to Brasilia for that. But this is a really important moment for Brazil. We very much see the joining of OECD as something that's important. We're very much looking forward to working with Brazil as they go through the accession process. So to say thank you, you will be hearing from me again later on the UK's experience in pushing forward the ESG agenda. So I won't say more on that now, but what I would say is that it's a two-way learning. That yes, the UK is very much a global leader in this space, and we very much intend to continue in that. But we also have much to learn, and through the work that we're already doing with Brazil, we are already learning. So thank you. I look forward to a really fruitful discussion, and you'll be hearing from me a little bit more later on. Thank you. Prazer.
E vamos dar início à sessão de apresentação das principais conclusões do relatório da OCDE, Políticas e Práticas de Sustentabilidade para a Governança Corporativa no Brasil. Convidamos para assumir assento em nosso palco o diretor de Assuntos Financeiros e Empresariais da OCDE, Carmine de Noia, o diretor da CVM, Alexandre Rangel, a conselheira para Assuntos Comerciais e Econômicos da Embaixada Britânica no Brasil, Georgina Eyre, o professor da Fundação Getúlio Vargas, FGV, Ricardo Lopes Cardoso, e o vice-presidente do Instituto Brasileiro de Governança Corporativa, IBGC, Leonardo Pereira, que também atua como moderador.
Who will also work as a moderator in this panel. And those from the audience that are interested in asking questions to our panelists, please talk to the lady on stage, and if there's time, we will answer questions during the panel. Now I'll give the floor to the moderator, Leonardo Pereira. Good morning. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here moderating this panel because we're discussing vital things for society. And as we said, one requirement if you want to transform society is what we're discussing. It requires the establishment of solid partnerships with a solid focus and discussions about this subject. You can't do anything if you can't have these discussions. So it is vital that we talk about ESG and transformation, and to have a partnership between CVM and OECD. And that's strongly supported by IBGC. It's also one of our purposes to participate in this discussion. I want to thank OECD on behalf of IBGC and CVM president and the current president and the future president of CVM, the directors and the technical board. We know how challenging transformations are. It's easy to say that ESG is important, it's a successful subject, but an extensive to really make this a solid implementation so that in the corporate world it comes to life. Well, that's the biggest challenge. We can't imagine that these things happen because there are miracles. Miracles are made by the agents, and that's what we want to do here. We need to discuss, well, ESG is all about the change and evolution of society. So how can we discuss climate change and how can we perceive society from a different perspective, with a perspective of the future? So what we need to do today to have a more balanced, more inclusive society, and to do that you need governance. Governance is simply about organizing things, but we cannot organize things and set parameters if there's no discussion, and that's what we're doing today. We'll be discussing different perspectives and visions about subjects that are extremely sensitive in the corporate world, which is the mission of the Educational Center, this partnership between CVM and OECD. That's what we set out to do, and what IBGC supports and wants to be part of one way or another. So I'll go back to my seat and start asking questions, but before that I want to invite Carmine to present the report, and that'll be followed by a series of interactions, and hopefully in the end we'll have the possibility of involving the audience and answering your questions. So please do ask your questions, and certainly we'll try to answer them at the end of the presentations. Thank you.
Okay, so also Leonardo, yeah, and we look forward also to the question. The only thing is that we have to catch the flight on time because we are going to Brasilia, because again it's very, very important. We are very happy that we studied the accession process of Brazil. Actually, we consider in many of the of our fields, in particular the Corporate Governance Committee, where we have developed this work already, Brazil already there. I mean, CVM has always been, and all the Brazilian delegation very, very active. So is also many other of the committees that actually are under working with the director, my directorate, but obviously we need that there is a formal process, and we start today. So I would like to start by saying that developing a corporate governance framework, and I think Leonardo also had this in mind, that takes into account environmental and social matters is not an easy task. Corporate governance is not an end in itself. It's also ways, to improve the function of the company. I would say all companies, listed and unlisted, SOEs and the others. But and we've been working a lot in all these years, and also with Leonardo also in the past. So it's nice to be here and to find that also we are always interacting. So in the OECD Corporate Governance Committee, OECD and G20 have been actively discussing which would be the best policies to improve how companies address and manage sustainability risks associated with their activity. So disinfectants, but at the same time, maybe sometimes too much information, you just flood the market. So information needs to be, reliable and comparable. Second, company boards need to take account of the interest of all stakeholders, while fulfilling the responsibilities of maximizing shareholder wealth, which is typically, in laws, and so this is typically the main objective. But more and more, taking into account also the interests of other stakeholders. Stakeholders, I would say, stricto sensu and also at large, and the environment, we're here to discuss this. This is not only important for society, but also the best way to create, maximizing truly wealth, really abiding by the rules, but okay, take into account also our future, our tomorrow. And third, while many large companies already have climate transition plans, the mechanism for shareholders to assess and to engage with corporate boards to ensure that they are followed remains, I would say, largely underdeveloped. And engagement is coming in many different, moments, but obviously, typically, we think about shareholder meetings, but actually engagement, and we think about stewardship, and here UK has been a leader, is a key issue. So, in the report we're launching today, we present research and analysis that is useful, we hope, for Brazilian policymakers to tackle all the three challenges. Now, the report shows that capital markets trends in Brazil, and also we compare with selected peer countries. It also presents the results of two, I would say, unique OECD surveys conducted with, on the one side, with companies, so 63 companies representing actually half of the market cap, the Brazilian market cap. And also on the other side, asset managers, so more than 363 asset managers, investing more than $1 trillion in Brazil. Next, I would like to highlight two key trends in Brazil's capital market. Now, first, and this is actually a common trend on a lot of markets, we issued last year this COVID-19 report, but so from 2000 to 2020, 542 companies delisted from the Brazilian stock market. And again, this is, we had 30,000 companies which delisted from the main markets from 2005. So this is an important, trend. So the net number is so they were not replaced by others, both, I would say, around the world and here in Brazil. So net listings were negative in every year except 2007 and 2020. This had led to a market cap in Brazil that, in terms of GDP, which is the normal, number to understand the importance of a market, is 68% of GDP in 2020. And as a comparison, the corresponding figure in India, we take India because India will be next G20, and Brazil, as you know, and this will be a key issue, so we're having accession on one side and the chairing of G20 in 2024. India is 98%. Second, while the corporate bond market in Brazil actually has been quite active, local green bond issuance has not been very significant, I would say, yet. Brazilian companies raised $864 billion in bonds from 2000 to 2021, but only 8 billion of this total was in green bonds. Then we can discuss what are green bonds, and obviously the topic of greenwashing is an issue all over the world. During the same period, in the UK market, companies raised more than 60 billion US dollars in green bonds. Next, our survey shows that asset managers investing in Brazil, actually they are interested in better sustainability disclosure, and this is not a surprise. 59% of large asset managers report that they review the sustainability disclosure of all their investee companies, and 29% that they do so only for certain industries. That helps explain why more than 3/4 of asset managers would support a mandatory regulation requiring all Brazilian listed companies to disclose a sustainability report. I should note, though, that the current use of different sustainability accounting standards by public companies in Brazil complicates asset managers' tasks of taking sustainability into account. And again, this is not surprising. Why? Because again, we are working many organizations all around the world, and so this is I would say different standards around. And in fact, in Brazil, the GRI standards are the most commonly used sustainability standards, but other frameworks like the GRI, like the SASB, are also used by many public companies. And we know that there are now this big effort, and we know with the IOSCO, the building block approach, the ISSB, actually just the other two members were appointed a couple of weeks ago. So we are all trying to work through a common framework. And the OECD is also, in the revision of the principle, will have a role on that.
Yeah.
So, given the use of different standards, this is the reason why both the majority of asset managers investing in Brazil, and Brazilian public companies would support the adoption of a common international ESG reporting standard for listed companies. In our survey, we found support from 71% of large asset managers and 76% of large companies for the adoption of an international ESG reporting standard in Brazil. Next, the use of multiple sustainability reporting standards is not the only barrier to greater consistency and comparability of a corporate sustainability disclosure. When the sustainability information disclosed is not assured by a third party based on robust methodologies, then confidence in the information can be undermined. This is a tricky issue. We always have to find the right balance, but okay, the potential reliance on a third party can be beneficial on the expectation of the market. In Brazil, 76% of Ibovespa companies that disclose sustainability information provide some level of assurance by a third party. But the provision of assurance is much lower for smaller companies, not surprisingly. And only 9% of surveyed smaller companies disclose a sustainability report with external assurance of the entire report. An interesting development is the establishment of committees focused on sustainability in a great number of public companies in Brazil. These committees may serve to improve both the disclosure and the management of sustainability risks. And again, this is common also, this is a trend which is common in many other markets, also attending the Corporate Governance Committee, G20 OECD. A majority of Ibovespa companies and 1/4 of smaller companies have such a specialized committee. Going on, with respect to the fiduciary duties of company boards, we see that Brazil's company law, adopt already a model, in a sense, a sort of hybrid model. So on the one side, while directors and the objective is maximizing profits, they should also consider, take into account the interest of stakeholders, other stakeholders, so beyond shareholders and the society. However, balancing different goals may be challenging then in practice. What does it really mean when we are going to vote on some, deliberation, multi-annual projects, maybe going actually beyond also the duration of the mandate of a board member. And so it's challenging, and directors may need, further guidance in a context of a stronger social demands for, corporation action on sustainability. And in any circumstance, we see that some sustainability matters are financially material for a large share of Brazilian public companies. Climate change is a financial material risk for 70% of the companies, and representing 70% of market cap. And a large majority of boards of directors in Brazil considered sustainability matters last year, but climate change does not seem to be the top priority for boards. And actually, human capital and data security were the most commonly discussed sustainability issues in board meetings last year. We have also identified a relatively high level of engagement between shareholders and companies on sustainability matters in Brazil. 82% of large asset managers consider sustainability risks and opportunities in dialogue with directors and executives. And between 2019 and 2021, at least 35 sustainability-related shareholders resolution were voted in a shareholder meeting in Brazil. And they were dealing with human capital, climate change, biodiversity, data security. They were the most frequently considered sustainability matters in these resolutions. As I mentioned before in the opening remarks, we have not presented explicit and specific policy recommendation in our report, so we hope to do so in the second phase of the project. So based on detailed discussion with key stakeholders in Brazil, and this is also a big occasion today, but also in the future, and the interaction will be vivid, and I think that it can only enrich having, especially if there are diverse opinions. However, it's already possible to take away some practical conclusion from the report we are launching today. I will mention 4. So first, the climate transition should be seen as an opportunity for Brazil to further develop its capital markets. The potential is huge. Your companies have access to tremendous natural resources, and global institutional investors have increasingly resources to invest in these companies, in sustainable businesses. So if public markets can efficiently connect both parts, so demand and supply, Brazil's economy and the environment will both benefit greatly. Second, there is a strong demand for corporate sustainability disclosure from asset managers. So companies have been responding already to this demand, in part, and probably what the market is missing the most is the adoption of a single sustainability accounting standard that is accepted by both local and foreign investors. And maybe this is important so to be part of, I would say, more global also discussion in order to, because markets are global today, and luckily also for Brazilian companies, a lot of foreign investors are here. Third, while we have evidence that climate change should be indeed a top priority for regulators, we should also consider other sustainability matters. And so these priorities, as I mentioned before, and we see the sign in this resolution were on the agenda, they were put, so include human capital, data security, water and wastewater management and biodiversity, all discussed in the report at length. And so finally, company boards may need better guidance on their fiduciary duties in a changing context, and here also the role of CBM, I think, is important. Surprisingly, a majority of asset managers declared that they would be willing to accept a lower rate of return in exchange for societal or environmental benefits. So how companies may be able to answer to investors' changing interests, however, is not entirely clear.
Their fiduciary
So
duties.
in the end, I mean, sustainability policies and practices for corporate governance, we have to understand that they are not a cost. I mean, they are an investment for our future. They are not an optional. They are, a must-do, because we are here in the museum of the future of tomorrow. But our future will not be tomorrow. We must start to build it now. Thank you very much.
The future was tomorrow, but our future will not be tomorrow.
Before I ask the first question, I'd like to apologize because I didn't do the right disclosure.
Thank you very much.
This is the epicenter of transparency. I am 175 meters. I am a man. I sometimes wear reading glasses. I'm wearing dark blue suit, and I'm wearing a blue tie also. But my first question goes to Alexandre. To apologize because I didn't do the right disclosure. We have seen this is the epicenter more and more transparency. I am 175 meters. I am a man. I sometimes wear reading glasses. I'm leaving the stock market. Then the opposite of companies my first question goes going to the stock market. How can we improve? We have seen this is the epicenter. and at the same time make sure that we are improving access of companies to markets. How is CVM looking into this issue and considering this higher demand for disclosure because of sustainability issues? So we have the concern of having a balance, looking at companies leaving the stock markets, and at the same time, we're talking about increased disclosure. And so you have the floor now. Thank you so much, Leo. It's a great pleasure to be here with you today.
Higher demand
I'd
for
like to
disclosure because
congratulate
of
everyone
sustainability
who's
issues.
involved in
So
drafting this report.
we have the
It's a very
concern of
complex
having
and
a
complete piece
balance.
of work.
Looking at companies leaving the
have
stock
been
markets,
dealing with
and
Caio
at
a
the same
lot
time, we're
on the dilemma of being a Brazilian capital market regulator. So I will start with the main thing as a self-description. I am a supporter of Flamengo, a soccer club. I am 175 meters. I am a man, and I'm wearing a suit and a tie. Leo, I think a lot of the challenges and dilemmas that we are faced with as regulators is to find a balance. I see that regulatory mechanisms we have available to us, depending on how much they may compromise development of certain activities that otherwise, if less fettered,
that we are faced with as regulators is to find a balance.
Better.
I see that regulatory mechanisms we have available to us, depending on how much
to say
they
that
may compromise development of certain activities that
from
otherwise,
the state or public authorities,
if
in the sense that certain practices
is to find a
to be compulsory.
I see that regulatory mechanisms we have available
the role of
to us,
a capital market regulator to make sure that there is transparency, precision, and completeness. So in this sense, your question is very difficult to answer. Since the number of companies leaving the stock market to be it's not accounted for just before
mechanisms we have
of compliance,
depending
on inherent in public companies. There are micro and macro issues to explaining this phenomenon. But looking from our perspective as a regulator, we do have a homework
for regulatory mechanisms we have available to
deal with it. I think this balance has been reflected. At the end of last year, we issued Resolution 59 with special focus on ESG.
We do have
so with social and environmental issues involved, and all the complexity and dilemmas are reflected in Resolution 59.
Propósito específico inicial de redução do custo de observância, e de fato há uma redução, aproximadamente 1/3 do volume de informações que anteriormente era exigido deixou de sê-lo. Por outro lado, diversas outras linhas do nosso famoso, às vezes querido e às vezes temido formulário de referência das companhias abertas, foi aprimorado e foi aprofundado com novos itens específicos relativos a, enfim, questões ambientais, sociais e de governança. Então, Léo, queria ter uma resposta um pouco mais assertiva, mas, de todo modo, acho que a palavra-chave passa muito por uma visão equilibrada, para que a gente não imponha custos de observância com um objetivo extremamente legítimo, razoável e urgente e necessário, mas que a gente saiba, na prática, dosar a correta medida desse remédio. E é um trabalho em curso, naturalmente, né? O que a gente vê do resultado do relatório é basicamente isso. O mundo inteiro está, no gerúndio mesmo, discutindo e avaliando as alternativas regulatórias suficientemente necessárias para que a gente estimule o desenvolvimento do mercado, que a gente promova esse tipo de informações que são demandadas pelo próprio mercado. O número apresentado aqui de aproximadamente 70%, né, dos investidores, pelo menos das principais assets, demandando esse tipo de informação, é realmente algo muito relevante, a meu ver, né? Não é algo que está sendo imposto pelo regulador, é algo que já se vinha, obviamente, sendo demandado por parte do mercado, e aí com todas as discussões futuras de comparabilidade, taxonomia, etc., que acho que a gente deixa para uma segunda rodada aqui das nossas conversas.
Obrigado, Alexandre. E muito clara essa separação e não ligar a questão do regime informacional com essa decisão de empresas estarem algum
disclosure and explaining at least partly why companies are leaving the stock market.
Bonds. And it's at the forefront in the regulation of sustainability-related corporate matters. Could you share with us the main guidelines of your regulatory initiatives related to sustainability, especially climate change, please?
Good. Thank you. And again, I will speak in English. So thank you. Good question. And it's been fascinating already listening to the discussion. And I couldn't agree more that absolutely ESG is the future. And the opportunity here is huge. And I think Brazil has a huge amount to gain, and there are huge economic opportunities for Brazil in growing its economy green. And as we were talking about earlier, ESG is absolutely part of that. The UK is a leader. We're incredibly proud of that. And it's something that we will continue to work hard on being. And we're really pleased to be able to share some of that experience with Brazil, both through the work that we've been doing through the OECD and other initiatives that we have been doing. And we hope to continue that partnership. But as I said before, there's an awful lot that we can learn as well. And I think that two-way flow of information, as we all go through this transition, will continue to be incredibly important. As we always say, there's different experiences, there's different markets, there's different situations, and we need to see what works on that. So first of all, I will just touch on the Task Force for Climate-Related Financial Disclosures, and I think it's useful to give this as a little bit of a time frame. And I would say that this is something, although my current role has me as the Trade and Economics Councillor here in Brasilia. My previous roles have been as a climate change advisor across many different countries, and I actually started my career working very much in this sphere. And I won't say how many decades ago because it ages me too much, but my master's dissertation was on corporate social responsibility and how we would change reporting in that space, and was very much looking at how essentially do you drive stakeholders, shareholders, to demand ESG as a mechanism for changing the performance of the corporations that
mecanismos de cooperação e mudança e investimento nessas iniciativas.
And it's great to see that we're now starting to make progress on it. So first of all, yeah, as I was saying, UK very much has a strong record of introducing measures to improve disclosure or public disclosure entities are making environmental and social matters. And this isn't just about where the stakeholders are coming from or the shareholders are coming from, it's also where the markets are coming from, it's where the consumers are coming from. So the pressure to have non-financial information disclosed is becoming something that's increasingly important for the UK. And we see that as investors in many different countries as well, in terms of what they're seeking as information when they're looking at where their risks are and where they're looking at where their securities are. And I think that's why it's so important that this is driving forward in Brazil as it becomes an increasing market where green investment is going to be such a huge opportunity.
Imensas daqui para frente. Então, para dar um pouco do período disso, isso foi em 2013 aproximadamente, em que o Reino Unido apresentou um acordo estratégico. Foi uma mudança ambiciosa que tentou envolver diversas partes interessadas, incluindo as envolvidas com questões ambientais e sociais, e comentários que foram expandidos em 2016 através da introdução de outros departamentos, através de
require a description of the principal risks relating to ESG. More recently, in 2022, the UK, very proudly, became the first country in the G20 to mandate large public and private businesses to report their climate-related financial disclosures aligned to the framework set out by the Task Force for Climate-related Financial Disclosures, it's quite a mouthful, including their exposures to climate change-based risks. So in that year, from 6th of April 2020, we had over 1,300 of the largest UK registered companies and financial institutions being required to disclose climate-related financial information on a mandatory basis, in line with recommendations from the task force. This included many of the UK's largest trade companies, banks and insurers, as well as private companies, those with essentially over 500 employees or over a 500 million turnover. The introduction of mandatory TCFD aligned disclosures is a direct response to previously low levels and what I would say sort of patchiness and voluntary disclosures. And my government set out to increase the quantity and the quality of climate-related reporting across the UK business community, including amongst some of the most economically and environmentally significant companies. Some of the benefits that this could lead to include more companies understanding the risks and the opportunities that they face in light of climate change, companies setting out how their emission reductions plans and sustainability credentials, as well as how they are progressing towards these. So it's a broad spectrum, is what I would say. The introduction of these disclosures will ensure investors and businesses can better understand financial impacts of their exposures to climate change and risks, and more accurately assess those while supporting the greening of the economy. And that's something that's really important to the government. I'm not sure if everybody would have read it. I certainly haven't read the whole way through it, but we now have a 10-point plan, which is essentially with a uniform way to assess, and this very much comes into what you were saying, in terms of having that standard approach so that we know that we've got the same baseline of information that we're working towards, and how they assess the changing climate may impact their business models and their strategy, and equip them to harness the opportunities, certainly as we go forward in our transition to what we call our net zero. Thank you.
Thank you very much for giving us insights about your experience and the reality of the UK. Bom, Ricardo.
Well, Ricardo, as we were seeing in reporting, most of the asset managers and resource managers investing in Brazil and publicly traded companies have been supporting the adoption of an international sustainability report that is standardized for the administered companies. And the adoption, using the new recommendations of the International Sustainability Standard Board that is probably increasingly more positioned to create a global standard. How do you see ESSB moving forward in this work of defining standards when it comes to ESG in the next years? Thank you, Leonardo. It's a pleasure, it's a satisfaction to be here in this great opportunity to discuss such an important subject with this highly qualified team. First, to self-describe, I'm a man, 1.82 m, black hair, at least so far, becoming salt and pepper. I'm wearing a gray suit. Nobody agrees with colors at home. When I look at a color, nobody agrees that that's the same color that I'm seeing. But anyway, it seems to be gray to me, and blue shirt. Leonardo, you're right. The report presents this information that there is a demand for comparability among the sustainability reports disclosed by the companies. And certainly this demand for comparability is based on the emission of a a unified standard and a framework to generate these sustainability reports. We know that currently there are several international standards, including 2 that are widely adopted in Brazil, 2 basically based on the survey conducted by OECD. To answer your questions, I see that ISSB, the International Standard Board, is really well prepared to begin working on this agenda. And after all, it has its minimum number of people to work with. The board can have up to 14 members, and the minimum number of members is 6. And recently, they announced the nomination of another 4 in addition to the chairman and the vice chairman. So it's ready to start working from an operational perspective. And institutionally speaking, I also see it as really well prepared. And the trustees had a very healthy approximation with the reporting foundation and with the climate standard board, the climate disclosure standard board, that are consolidated under the same agenda. In addition to that, even before the disclosure of the creation of ISSB at COP26, the IFRS Foundation had already set up a technical work group to discuss and start elaborating the first document drafts that today, since March, they've been sent to public hearing, and the deadline ends on July 27th. And I would like to invite you to comment on the letter. It's 2 documents. The first one talks about the general requirements for disclosure, and the other one specifically about climate-related information. And Leonardo, if you allow me to add to the answer, in addition to what I see that it's already prepared to do, well, there are 2 fundamental questions. One of them very widely discussed at the report about materiality. Materiality is a flexible subject. It's a very flexible subject. IFRS and literature has several materials talking about the aspects of materiality related to financial reports, and our focus, even though it is quantitative and qualitative materiality, the financial report brings much more quantitative than qualitative information, even though there is a lot of qualitative information. One thing, I believe that soon, in a post-implementation review policy that IASB conducts for IFRS 3 years after it was implemented, I believe that we will see the same process concerning the sustainability reports and standards. So revising if the parameters and the guidelines to assess materiality in literature at the IFRS Foundation will be adequate for this new reality. Another discussion that's also interesting, I saw an interaction between ISSB and IASB, is that IASB recently, that was in 2019, issued an exposed draft to review the structure of financial demonstrations. Our CPC 26, IAS 1 being reviewed. And one of the aspects is that in the information disclosed in the DRE, expenses and revenues that are seen by
precisarão ser divulgados numa nota explicativa específica sobre essa não recorrência de itens de receita e despesa. A minha esperança é que, com o esforço da mesma administração, das entidades, em estruturar e divulgar
information, that there is greater capacity, they have a greater capacity to do a prospective assessment or forward-looking assessment, that if there is like a fire that affected a crop this year, will I consider that to be a non-recurring expense? And if we have a concern in looking at climate change, maybe we have a concern in looking at climate change. Maybe we may not say that yesterday's event or yesterday's fire is a non-recurring event in the predictable future. And in closing, I have one more comment. We lost his sound in the translation booth. His microphone seems to be off. Now it's back. So my wish is that the concern of the entities about sustainability and if the companies start internalizing these negative externalities, they'll start acknowledging liabilities and expenses, and maybe the current CPC 27 that deals with contingencies and provisions, that's an old norm, needs to be reviewed to better deal with provisions and contingencies.
Obrigado pela oportunidade.
Ricardo, obrigado. Acho que você tocou numa coisa muito importante.
That's a very important thing. You talked about transformation and how we will have an effective regime in the next few years. Well, that's through guidelines and through having an agency that takes care of common standards. And looking backwards, if we look at what's been done in the last 15 years in terms of IFRS, we see the evolution and the benefits to society from having a common language. And I think that's what we're talking about. So that's very important in a moment when we're discussing the future. Alexandre. Over 70% of businesses in Brazil consider an important financial material risk, climate change to be an important financial risk. How do you see climate change in the context of sustainability? And in terms of how to prioritize that from the point of view of the regulator, we prioritized that an option that was done in the reform of the 480 edited at the end of last year. We made it clear that we were fully adhering to climate first. In my perspective, we're fully aligned with this approach, and that's one of the several ways to adopt a regulatory approach with a special attention to climate-related issues. And linking this to the OECD report, it seems to be very interesting to see that some other subjects are also being given a high level of interest and attention. They talked about human capital and data security. They talked about subjects that would not, in theory, be categorized as something essential based on the initial research. And one thing that leads me to repeat what I was mentioning about balance is that the several regulatory ways of facing the subject, and climate issues is one of them, involves an assessment of the other jurisdictions. Once we have examples, and I also want to congratulate Bruno Luna, that was a leader of the recent CVM report about this agenda. It clearly shows that this dilemma is a dilemma around the world. So regulatory steps that are too strong may be a too strong medicine, as we used to say, and we need to be very careful when it comes to assessing such an important subject, such as the climate issues. And we also need to be very careful when pulling the regulatory levers that are available so that we don't create a disincentive. The entire world, the resource administrators have, as the research identified, they've shown a preference for something comparable with international standards. And what we mentioned about the ongoing works of ESSG has been monitored closely by CVM. We're getting like weekly reports with very accurate updates of all of these subjects and the results of these discussions. So I see this with a lot of optimism, a regulatory approach focusing on an information-based regime, and with every concern so that we don't end up taking an additional step which at the end of the day may lead to a negative result or may lead to more problems than solutions. Thank you. That's a very positive message from the regulator around balance. I think that now that we're discussing how to deal with this and how to treat these things, I think these words are really inspiring for the market agents. Thank you. Georgina.
Asset managers investing in Brazil consider sustainability risks and opportunities when voting in a shareholder meeting or engaging with directors. What could Brazil do better to facilitate the engagement of foreign investors with local companies?
Thank you. I'm not sure that's one for me to answer. Probably more one for the companies themselves to answer and for the asset managers themselves to answer in terms of what do they want to see. And I think that's a really important part of this conversation. Is my headphones interfering? There we go. So I think this is where the conversation gets thrown out. It is something that we are starting to see more and more. It's something that we're starting to see much more questions coming from the asset managers and from the investors in terms of where are the investments in Brazil and what are the risks associated to them. And I think this is where this report and the recommendations that will come through the phase 2 of that report and come in. I think that's a really important point that you made, that this is where we go out to the broader conversation when we go into the policy recommendations and where the government of Brazil also can help set those standards for investors to have a better conversation. Certainly from the UK's perspective, I think we had our the Chancellor announced in 2021 our sustainability disclosure requirement regime, which has certainly gone a long way to helping with our investors and our asset managers in the UK and seeing green investment flows. So I think something around similar from a regime here would be useful. But like I say, I don't think that's a question necessarily for me to answer. I think it's one for the asset managers to have that conversation, for us to have that conversation with them about what works and what's needed as we take this one forwards.
Thank you very much. I think one thing that becomes clear is that asset managers will have to be very engaged in these discussions, right? And really make sure that they make themselves understood in what they are looking for. So I think that is a good thing for asset managers to think about. Hold on 1 second.
So Ricardo, we talk a lot, especially from the perspective of investors, we talk a lot about the need to have assurance about the quality of ESG data. and for that to be done independently. Clearly, most countries are not ready to do that. So, in this context, and taking the Brazilian context into account, what's the concern that we should have in terms of balance, considering that we don't have, and possibly this is a discussion for the future, considering that right now we are not able to balance what you say that you're going to do and the guidance you give in terms of ESG, and really this process of doing what you say and being engaged in your beliefs. So, can you talk about that, please?
Eu vou conseguir. A culpa é minha mesmo. Obrigado. Leonardo, antes de responder essa pergunta específica,
Leonardo, before we answer this specific question about assurance, I want to add to the previous answer concerning ISSB being prepared. Whether it is a coincidence or not, the preparation of ISSB is based on the results presented by OECD that investors require before anything information about climate change. And ISB, along with the foundation, decided that they were going to focus on the climate change aspects. And talking about assurance, like you said, the interpretation is perfect. I also share the same interpretation that investors demand high-quality information and reliable information, because we talked about faithful representation of the financial report and also bringing that to the sustainability report. And we cannot have a faithful representation report if it's not audited, if it does not go through a validation process. So I understand that this is a natural consequence of the process of standardization. Our standards, in addition to defining the guidelines, that it also defines the requirement that the report is audited. And now, specifically talking about Brazil, I have several different answers if we focus specifically on Brazil. From a general perspective, I would say that, regardless of the economic sector, thinking about the capital market in general, the first thing is the assurance, won't say audits. Will it be mandatory for the sustainability report? Yes or no? Well, I believe it will. If it is mandatory, what's the profile of the professionals that will do this review? Is it's going to be the same type of professional that does audit of accounts? I'm not sure if that's the best way forward. I don't have an answer, but I don't know. When I look at the composition of ISSB, the 6 members that are there at the ISSB, only half of them are specifically educated in accounting. Of the other 3 are have a different background. So I think that if to draft sustainability standards, they understand that it's fundamental to have a multidisciplinary background to elaborate sustainability reports. Wouldn't that be required as well? And to review these reports, I believe that that would also be a requirement to have a multidisciplinary background. Of course, it can be the same auditing firms that do this assurance, but I believe that they'll have to invest in capacity building of their current professionals or hiring new professionals with other backgrounds in addition to accounting. Another investment that will be fundamental for the firms that will provide this assurance service is to invest in data analytics, because most of the sustainability data is non-quantitative. Most of them are qualitative, and many of them are not in systematized databases. They're non-structured data or data obtained from exogenous sources and our capacity to collect and interpret these data is certainly leveraged by the use of data analytics. And when I see that audit firms in Brazil, they've been investing a lot in that with a focus on auditing of accounts. So maybe we should take another step forward to do this assurance of sustainability report from a qualitative approach. But when I said that, my answer was multiple, and I'll finish soon. Concerning the specific sector of electricity, NL, through its manual of accounting in the electricity industry, mandates since 2012 the companies or the concessionaires to publish what was called back then, let me check my notes, a business responsibility report that had some social environmental responsibility aspects as well that were very mild, and this accounting manual was reviewed, and now the new name is Annual Report of Social, Environmental, Economic, and Financial Report of the NL concessionaires. And this report has 5 dimensions or chapters to it: the general corporate governance, economic, financial, social, and sectoral and environmental. That's a reality, this report, and has been a reality since the beginning of the 2010s. It's published by all of them, and it's available at the portal of ANEL and the concessionaires. And another detail, this information has quantitative and qualitative objective parameters. And to your point, to your question, ANEL requires this information to be guaranteed by independent auditors and for it to be validated by the administration and fiscal council of these companies. So it seems to me that in the electricity industry there is a certain level of maturity, not necessarily to validate information from a sustainability report like the one that I imagine that we will start to have as of tomorrow, but at least we're moving towards a process of ensuring that these reports will exist in the electrical industry, and maybe it requires a transfer of knowledge and disseminating this knowledge in the market. That could be positive.
Thank you very much. We're talking about assurance. I'd like to add, having an opinion about a report, we need to have trained people. And I'd like to mention what you said about boards. Boards need to understand. They cannot be delegating to management. This is strategic, and it requires sound information. If you don't have sound information, how can you say something's wrong? In this sense, I'd like to give the floor to Carmini so he can have his final comments before we close the debate.
We had already a lot of comments. I think it's been a great morning. This also is a sort of proxy of what we would like to have for the second phase of the report. So having a lot of engagement with all, stakeholders of the market. But at the same time, many things we have discussed. I would say this is a national and international discussion. This is, we have to discuss here, and we're always, have been discussing of international standards, but also of international examples, like the electricity one. And why? Because also the companies are more and more global, and here the holding company is in a country I know quite well. So we have a mix of all the things. And in this sense, I think that also the debate, the truly Brazilian debate will, I would say, cross with the revision of the principles of the G20 OECD principle. We will, these are, all of you I think I know, these are really the global standards, so endorsed by G20, OECD, FSB, used by World Bank for all the assessment. We have just started the revision. We are going to have, and I really hope that, as always, Brazil has been very, very, active in interaction with the OECD. We're going to have also a public consultation in September. So we really want to have a lot of, discussion, answers. We will have the committee meeting also in November. I have to say, and past, present, and future, the interaction and the participation of CVM and of Brazil at the committee has always been very, not only active, but at the top level. So we really hope that this continue. Also, I think thinking that we're going to have the Latin American Roundtable also next year here. And again, maybe we will have the first discussion of the approved new G20 OECD principle, actually maybe when Brazil will lead the G20. So thank you very much. And I apologize because we have to leave to Brasilia, but thank you very much and look forward to meeting you soon. Thank you, Leonardo, for...
Então, queria agradecer.
With this, I thank you all.
Agradecemos a presença de todos.
Would like to thank everyone in the panel, and I'd like to remind you that the full report is available at the OECD site, www.oecd.org. I just wanted to say that all the questions that I received are now in the hands of the event organization for answers. Thank you. Now, to continue with our event, we are going to launch now the Center of Reference for Finance of Tomorrow. For this, we'd like to invite the Vice President of Invest.Rio, Julio Cesar Azevedo, President of the CEO IDG, Ricardo Pique, Subsecretary of Economic Development, Innovation and Simplification of the City of Rio de Janeiro, Marcel Balaciano, and Superintendent of Protection, Investor Protection of CVM, José Alexandre Vasco, who will be the moderator of the first half of this panel. Mr. Vasco, moderator, you have the floor. Thank you, Flora. Thank you so much. My name is José Alexandre Vasco. People know me by Vasco at CVM. And as I will describe, I am a supporter of Vasco Soccer Club. I am 54 years old. I have been 25 years with CVM and 15 in this department. And for us, it is a great achievement, and I can talk about this on behalf of the whole technical team of CVM, to come here launching the Center of Reference for Finance of Tomorrow. After having celebrated 50 years of CVM last year. Before we go into the activities, I'd like to give the floor to the other panelists for a brief introduction of the purposes and of this institution, and then afterwards we're going to hear two speakers, one who came from abroad to deal with the main topics relating to this reference center. I will start with Subsecretary, as the city authorities are hosts. So can you speak about the participation, the role of the city authorities in this initiative? Good morning, everyone. My name is Marcel Balaciano. I am 170 height. I'm wearing a black suit, no tie. I'm a supporter of Flamengo and of the Salgueiro Samba School. Well, this is the educational arm of a larger project that we have supported since last year, led by our Secretary of Innovation and Economic Development, to incentivize carbon credits, which is what we call the green stock exchange. So we have Manuel Tabet, among other people from the Economic Development, the Finance Department represented here too, as well as Julio, naturally coordinating the whole initiative. So this is the educational arm of this project that we have been working on for the past year with the purpose of having sustainable financial centers. And this is a partnership with OECD. It is very important for us to talk about the purpose. Rio de Janeiro has always been related to sustainability, so we have a huge history, and the financial market also has been very active, and it's very strong here. When I joined the city government, what we found out is that the financial industry is the one that most pays taxes to the city government. So among the top 4. So the financial industry is very important for the authorities. So these niche, the cryptocurrency as well as carbon credits, that's going to be discussed here today with another work group, also led by Chicão Bulhões, Invest.Rio, so many people participating, focusing on these financial market niches, carbon credit and cryptocurrencies. So the idea is to have Rio de Janeiro as the green investment capital as well as capital of technology and innovation. Julia will speak more about this. Just for those who are economists, macroeconomists, we have 2014, 15, and 16, we had a recession, then followed by a pandemic. So in the last 1.5 years, the news are good. We have recovered. We have now attained pre-pandemic levels. In February this year, we recovered all the formal jobs lost with the pandemic. In March, 15 months of PI's administration, a lot of jobs now above 120,000. So Rio de Janeiro is the capital generating the most number of formal jobs in the country. Thank you so much for the information. I give the floor now to Julio representing Invest.Rio. CVM has signed a cooperation agreement with Invest.Rio to create an education center in this city, and I think this is an initiative that started last year. Today we have centers in 7 states, and we hope to get to the 27 Brazilian states until the end of the year. We are educational centers geared toward young people with special interest with local talent, and the Rio de Janeiro talent is financial innovation and sustainable finances. So I'd like to thank anyway for the support of Invest.Rio. Thank you so much, Vasco. First of all, good morning, everyone. I'd like to greet Ricardo Piquet, CEO of ADG, Malaciano, the Economic Development Subsecretary, former Secretary Chicão Bulhões, Maria Garibaldi, our Rio residents, above all, the representatives of CVM and OECD, everyone who is participating here at the auditorium, as well as those who are watching us from home. It's an important day for Invest.Rio. When we started our mission by our mayor and former Secretary Chicão Bulhões, we started to plan considering that Invest.Rio was going to work on the main 3 pillars for the city of Rio de Janeiro. We exercised a look into the future. We started imagining Rio de Janeiro in 2030. What would be the headline talking about Rio de Janeiro on the paper? And going back from 2030 to 2021, we started to see how we were going to build this future. And to build the imagined future, we looked into technology, inclusion, as well as sustainability. So this project specifically talks with these 3 invest pillars that we conceived in January 21. When it comes to inclusion, we created Credit Carioca, a very difficult period under the pandemic. A pandemic that's not over yet. At the time, we were in the heart of the pandemic, losing so many jobs in the city, people dying, the economy in shambles. So we needed to find a solution for companies to recreate and maintain jobs, and also to make it possible to safeguard thousands of families in the city of Rio. So at the time, we wanted to make sure that there was food on the table for people living in Rio. When we talk about technology, when you look into Maravali, the projects creating an innovation hub in the port area in Rio de Janeiro, we also reduced the tax on services. This was an initiative from Pedro Paulo, former finance department chief, and also attracting the biggest technology event to Rio de Janeiro. I'd like to thank everyone involved in this. So this has to do with technology. When it comes to sustainability, we started the project that we called the green stock market, which is a set of shares that the seated started to recover the global climate agenda. We had all the global climate summits in Rio. And in addition to the idea that we are so strong in the financial sector, so one solution was to look into the future. And when we think of that, the educational arm of this project is essential. So having an educational hub in the city, a hub that will start thinking new financial ways in the future, cryptocurrency, we are going to be dealing with this very soon. How people are consuming goods and how people interact with the planet. Everything has to do with sustainable finance. And here in the Museum of Tomorrow, a museum that is not only beautiful and it's an icon of the city, but it's a museum that looks into the future, and this is symbolic. So I'm very happy to be launching this partnership and this center with IDG and CVM that will no doubt generate lots of results to the city of Rio de Janeiro. So we'd like to urge CVM and OECD to contribute to this project. All universities in the city, we have been speaking to public and private as well as international universities that the idea should not belong to one owner. This hub should be a major educational platform to discuss the future. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Julio. These are such important topics for those who are following finance sector. The last survey shows that the number of Brazilian investors that are looking for cryptocurrency has doubled, one of the largest growths in emerging markets. So people are looking into financial solutions for investment. So this is an essential topic for the city. So before I give the floor to Ricardo, I would like to say that it's been an honor for CVM to join the museum. We came here in a humble way in the space, as it represents so much given the very serious work of this team that is led by Ricardo, that keeps the flame of the future kindled. So we can say this is a dream come true to be launching this initiative with such inspired partners that really motivate us. Ricardo, you are essential. It is the IDG partnership that is going to make all these projects possible. For the Brazil we have always dreamed of. Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Like to thank Vasco for his generosity. He's always like that. He's always patient and generous with us. This is not an easy topic. And we have decided to go to deep dive after the teasers from those who are present here. I'd like to say, start by describing myself. I'm not going to tell you what soccer team I cheer for. I am a person with a lot of gray hair. I am wearing dark blue from head to toe, and this is a self-description is for those who are not able to see us. They can somehow see us in this way. So this is one of the main pillars of this museum: respecting everyone, respecting differences, respecting minorities. And this is how we conduct things here. So as Vasco has said, this space is not only an incredible museum which was conceived by the mayor as well as Roberto Marinho Foundation. I was also involved in the creation of the museum. It goes way beyond this beautiful, beautiful lines here. This is a place for debate. This is a place to bring perspectives. Well, extreme stakeholders sometimes don't accept the debate, but what we do here is to increase the public interest in this space. This is a Rio de Janeiro space. The museum has resisted. It almost got closed down a few years ago. So it is part of our purpose to create the debate, always bringing information, looking for information and conversations to think of the future from everyone's perspective. It is from this type of thinking and reflection that we join here. So we're here. IDG, the whole IDG management is here. I can name them all. And so many leaders, such as Anna from the financial department, so that we can get to learn from you and also to contribute with what we can. As I said, this is not an easy topic. There are a number of experts here today. We have been reading the data, impressive data, increasing investments in the last 12 years, or in the last 2 years, 15-fold in terms of cryptocurrencies, fintechs. Brazil is following this movement, although at a different pace, but we would like to understand this movement. As we see it, we believe everyone is digital. Education is digital. Agriculture is digital. Health is digital. Logistics is digital. So much progress. Online consumption increased a lot in the pandemic. Food, health, medication. So this digitalization movement is happening. But we believe that this movement needs to be better discussed and understood for many reasons. Obviously, for CVM's interest in regulatory issues, it's important that a layperson can invest safely anywhere, any cryptocurrency, any new currency, to understand what a carbon credit is in order to be able to participate in the movement, not necessarily with lots of money, but it could be dangerous if you centralize and you double the number of billionaires and it also increased hunger during the pandemic. So this is a very important part of our ethical pillar. So we do want to be present. We want to follow what the technology is bringing us, but also follow the consequences for the vast majority of people. Talking about people, how people can enjoy innovation. We cannot forget, among Brazilians, we still have bills, money, paper money. So many people don't have access to bank services. It's very difficult, for example, during the pandemic, for people that did not have access to government subsidies. But we also need to see sustainability issues, our relationship with nature. We need to make sure that increase in consumption should have an impact. We don't want to discuss business models, the number of packages, the consumerism to compensate losses. And for example, it's not just the Amazon, for example, which is tragic. It's a disaster for the environment because of packaging, because of centralization of power, the way they treat their suppliers. It's a whole network, and this is a reason of concern to have this relationship with sustainability on how we consume energy. Obviously, cryptocurrencies are based on blockchain and give us the guarantee that we need, but we need to assess the impact on the environment. For each search on Google, what does that mean in terms of energy consumption? This is also part of our interest. So bringing here, given CVM and Invest.Rio role in creating a reference center, Vasco wanted more. He wanted an excellence center. And then I said, well, we can start with a reference center and then we move on to the excellence center. So this debate brought so many ideas. Bruna Robson conceived what this hub would be. A hybrid cross-section platform bringing knowledge, a space for education. We spoke about the initiative to train young people and professors, teachers, also the public at large, small company managers, small cultural company managers, to understand the financial logic so that they can survive and compete in this new world. We usually say here that generations, when we talk about future literacy, how to educate, how to improve education through literacy, my generation believes this is chaotic, but my son's generation believes it's normal. My grandchild, who's 6, for him this is no news. So we need to know how to deal with these transformations. We could see how these currencies came up.
Que tinha valor no início da marca, depois a moeda.
So the coin, the gold, salt used to be money, and then somebody created a piece of paper and conferred a value to that piece of paper. For young people today, cryptocurrency makes a lot more sense than a bill, a paper money bill. So doesn't make so much sense depending on the generation. So the disruptive technology for the new generations, for them it does not mean it's disruptive. It makes perfect sense, and that's why they run the risk in the new currencies that are coming up. And obviously the pandemic, the war in the Ukraine, events like this, now for them to survive, they started to exchange cryptocurrency to pay the bills. So this increase in the interest and the volume of these transactions, and this is definitely going to have an impact in our everyday lives. This is what we want to debate here. This is what we want to introduce here, and that's what we want to create. A physical center of reference, a physical space as a reference, and obviously to reach all audiences, also online with all the tools we're going to have available. I'd like to thank the partners for the opportunity. We're very engaged in finding good sponsors. Without sponsors, we will not be able to fly off. And we also count on Invest.Rio and CVM to join this group. And as of next month, to start activities that have been in our plans until the end of the year. Thank you so much, Vasco. Thank you so much, Julio. Let's move on and do count on this debate home. Thank you.
E agradecemos aos participantes.
I want to thank the participants of the first part of this panel and wish them success in working with the Center of Reference for Finances of the Museum of Tomorrow. And now we'll start the second part of this panel. Please return to your seats.
Talvez a gente faça, só mudar aqui pouquinho o protocolo. Talvez a gente pudesse fazer a assinatura agora, né, para uma foto aqui.
Maybe we could assign this and take a picture. We have a partnership with CVM, and today we're signing this partnership with Invest.Rio, so I want to invite Maria Garibaldi.
Eu peço desculpas, assim, 4 homens brancos aqui não é comum nesse museu, portanto... a paleta eu nem descobri, mas agora você melhorou a paleta aqui, chegando aqui. Mas a ideia é que a gente pudesse assinar esse...
So we will sign this document together in a partnership with Invest.Rio and with CVM.
Então, isso aqui a gente está formalizando, né, com Invest.Rio, Júlio. Acho que...
So this is a formal agreement with Invest.Rio. We can sign this together, Julio. Is it against the law to invite Chicão to sign as a witness? So, PK.
Estamos assinando trabalho aqui, hein, Júlio? Ups. Quem vem de testemunha? Piquei o Chicão, pode ser? Vasco, você está de acordo? Vamos fazer um e depois a gente já assina outro.
Obrigado, Maria.
Apareceu aqui que é trabalho. Um monte de combinado aí. Acho que tem um monte de combinado.
Primeiro passo de muitos.
Enquanto assina aqui, só para vocês saberem aqui, a gente...
As I'm signing, we'll continue with the activities of the museum. And this year, our activities are dedicated to the Amazon. As of July 19th, please come back to the museum. We'll have an exhibit of photos by Sebastião Salgado. It's a fantastic exhibit that's been to Rome, Paris, São Paulo, London, and will open on July 19th. And if you haven't been there yet, we have a restaurant specializing in Amazon food. So please come visit us.
Tem que formalizar aqui com a foto.
Boa.
Vem, Chico.
Uma foto, por favor, Maria.
Deixei aqui. Obrigada.
E agora sim, documento devidamente assinado.
Now, with the document duly signed, let's start the second part of our panel.
Além do nosso moderador.
In addition to moderator José Alexandre Vasco, I'll invite the director of AbiCrypto, Bernardo Cirur, and the head of FC4S and SIF Knowledge Hub, Florencia Baldi.
E assim como em nosso painel anterior, os interessados em...
And as with our previous panel, those interested in sending us questions, please talk to our collaborator, Nara. And if we have time, we will answer questions you may have. Now, José Vasco, you have the floor. Well, in addition to this institutional presentation, we also wanted to propose a brief presentation, which is quite challenging to have such a short presentation of 15 minutes about these subjects that inspired us in this partnership, having two representatives from AB Crypto, Bernardo, who's been a long-term partner at CVM, and we are signing this partnership, and with Florencia. In the beginning, we mentioned that CVM has a Financial Innovation Lab, an initiative from 2017 with 275 participating institutions and around 1,000 representatives of the regulating agencies and ministries. Today is the biggest PPP around innovation in Brazil, and in 2022 it was acknowledged by British magazine as one of the best labs of financial innovation in the world. Therefore, quite an important initiative for us. In 2020, it was accepted as a member of the FC4S and SIF, and therefore the lab of GIZ and IDB is one of the centers in the Americas for sustainable finance. So I'm surrounded by two specialists. I want to thank Florencia specifically for the international trip to Rio and for being with us. And with that, I want to give the floor to Bernardo to talk about the new technologies and the challenges ahead of us and the importance of education in this partnership. Thank you. Thank you, Vasco. It's a pleasure to be here with you today, especially when it comes to innovation. It's very important. I'm the director of AB Crypto, so I'll start by self-describing. I'm Bernardo Cirur. I'm 1.84 meters tall. I'm wearing a beige trouser and a shirt, a blue shirt. AB Crypto focuses on the economy in Brazil, and we've been participating in regulatory discussions about best practices, and we understand that the tech market, the innovation market, is very important not only in Brazil but in the world, but especially in Brazil, given the characteristics of Brazil and given the applicability of technologies in general to our society, especially in terms of democratizing access to the population. So participating in an event like this, in an action like this, for education and for the dissemination not only of new technologies but possibly new services for the population is fundamental. If we talk about the scenario that we discussed today around tech companies, we understand that there have been two moments in the economy. The first one was computerizing the economy and transforming the paper-based economy in digital economy, and now we're in the process of making processes more efficient and digital, more accessible, and making the financial market more accessible with that, and using technology not only to democratize access to the financial market, to the capitals market, and assets restricted to another group, but also to provide more transparency and a bigger power of governance. That's a reflex of what the companies received in terms of investments in 2020, something close to $659 billion, which led to a growth of 111%. The international market, when we look at the crypto market specifically, it was a market with approximately $59 billion worth of investments, with growth during the pandemic years of approximately 15-fold. But Brazil was not able to accompany that. Data show that Brazil grew by 700% on average. And that happened because we have a space that we can work in tandem to help this new economy, this crypto economy, to become increasingly more integrated to the current economy, to more integrated to services and access to the population. And as we said, by bringing accessibility to assets or the tokenization of green areas, why not? So crypto economy helps democratize this access, and I believe that initiatives like this will help us have a national practice, a national industry that's increasingly more robust to work with the global economy. I believe that one very important aspect that we are observing is the regulatory adaptation of several aspects. You see that we've been working tirelessly with that. We have the legal framework that was very important, and now we are discussing the regulation of the crypto industry in Brazil that will bring about more developments to the national market. And why is that important? Well, because Brazil, when we look at the processing of cryptocurrencies, it's the 11th in the world, ahead of all countries in Latin America and many developed countries such as Switzerland and Japan, for instance, which shows that the adoption of cryptocurrency by the population, especially the younger population, where they don't understand why paper money exists, that's very attractive. That's one feature. Another feature that helps the democratization is accessibility and the cost of accessibility. We're talking about people that can buy assets starting as of R$1, making the market much more accessible. So it's this whole set of factors, along with this initiative, Vasco, that I believe will help the development of digital economy in Brazil. Thank you, Bernardo. The points that you mentioned are really very important to understand technology as a transformation that goes beyond finances and that involves infrastructure. And the Financial Innovation Lab is now launching a new initiative to rethink crypto assets and how this technology can be designed from a conceptual perspective, both in the capital market, with companies issuing tokens and debentures. Recently we had a tokenized debenture issued. So I think that the future of the economy involves new technologies, and our obligation is to be updated and to have a responsible discussion in the market with investors and consumers. And now I want to give the floor to Florencia to talk about FC4S. You just recently published a global report that mentioned Brazil, and today, after the event, we'll have an important launch, but maybe we could hear it from you. I think it would be very important for us to understand which initiatives are converging together at this event today, and hopefully you've understood my Portuguese. Thank you so much. First, I want to apologize for not speaking such a good Portuguese.
Following the museum recommendation, I'm wearing I'm a woman. I'm wearing black pants and a white shirt, and I'm from Argentina. First and foremost, I want to thank you, Vasco, thank CBM, Rio Cities Administration, the OECD, and well, all the other organizers of the event for inviting me on behalf of FC4S. It's an honor to be here representing UNDP, Sustainable Finance Hub, and for you, let me introduce you to FC4S. FC4S is a network of 39 financial centers working to expand sustainable finance globally in order to achieve the Paris Agreement and the Sustainable Development Goals. It belongs to the United Nations Development Programme Sustainable Finance Hub, and it works in forming policy, highlighting best practices, and enabling financial centers to understand their relative position in the sustainable global financial market. So, well, as you mentioned, 5 years, as the first panelists mentioned, 5 years ago, sustainable finance was a boutique topic, whereas it has now gone mainstream, that has basically been possible because the financial market, I mean, there has been an acknowledgement about the relevance of the financial market for the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. So financial centers, as Vasco has just mentioned, we have published this year a global report which explains different ways in which financial centers already are not only understanding but advancing actions towards this agenda, including through educational initiatives, as we will see. But as I was supposed to provide a global and regional, let's say, landscape description, I will start mentioning the key challenges that the sustainable financial market now has. First of all, with our global framework, which is a unique, let's say, financial centers evaluation to understand their status, we have concluded that, first of all, at the financial product level, there are issues regarding pipeline identification. So, I mean, all over the world, there is financial centers have reported the lack of supply of sustainable financial products as a key challenge to be overcome, as well as inadequate project pipelines. This actually reinforces the strong already existing concern about the quality and reliability of sustainable finance commitments, whereas there are net zero commitments or exclusion commitments of certain sectors. It's necessary to develop stronger sustainable finance products, and this can only be done through better data. There is a global need to measure sustainable finance more accurately, and this has been also shown consistently through the years, because this year, on the 4th edition of our annual report, we found that for the 3rd time, data was highlighted as the most pressing challenge globally. Currently, as the previous panel mentioned, all sustainability or most sustainability-related data is self-disclosed and unverified, and financial centers have a role like leveraging digital technologies to provide more consistent and reliable data. That would be by making its accessibility, its processing, and its analysis larger and faster and cheaper. And that's why FC4S is currently advancing the digital sustainable finance agenda. And as it was also mentioned, fintech also has the potential to decentralize finance and empower, let's say, and enable other stakeholders and give them greater agency to participate in the financial system. So that is why this is a key agenda for FC4S. Moving on to more general, let's say, challenges at the financial industry level and not at the product level. We have market fragmentation, which was also mentioned before. There are currently over 200 taxonomies globally on sustainable finance. So in this sense, our network of financial centers has really welcomed the current efforts of the IFRS ISSB, which is working on the sustainability framework for corporate disclosures through their 2 exposure drafts. And we are really, let's say, convinced that improving data comparability would help enhance the reliability of the market in this regard. And second, as it was also recently mentioned, regulatory uncertainty is another challenge hindering the global market. There are supervisory expectations, and as the market itself is setting its foundations and specific issues as carbon pricing continue or start to develop in different countries, there is a need for the public sector to be more involved, let's say, in the sustainability agenda. So, as a cross-cutting issue under all this landscape I have just tried to describe in a few minutes, there is talent development. Talent development has been highlighted as a key challenge again from our assessment. Annual assessment for 2 years in a row. It has been the third most pressing challenge. So there is an unaddressed demand for sustainable finance skills within the financial industry. And this, let's say, this lack of talent not only covers the private sector, but also relies on the public sector. For example, supervisors need to be trained on how to incorporate climate considerations within risk management. And public servants should understand like the tools they should leverage if they decided to implement green budgeting, for example. And from the private sector side, there are currently plenty of sustainable finance and climate accounting tools and frameworks that need, again, to be understood and, let's say, well implemented. So in that sense, there is, let's say, a big demand from the market, both the public and private sector, to develop talent and skills. Moving on to, FC4S again has acted on this agenda. Particularly, it has developed a skill assessment gap in Dublin and Toronto, so to better understand current and future sustainable finance skills needs. We have undertaken two specific financial centers analysis, and of course found out that this is still a pressing issue, and we are currently developing a global assessment to inform the G20 Sustainable Finance Study Group on talent requirements. And well, on the back of that analysis, we are supporting particularly Egypt to develop a bespoke talent plan, given the fact that it's going to host the COP27 later this year. But we are seeing, well, moving on to the Americas region, we are, of course, seeing that this is also an issue here. To briefly illustrate what's going on in the region, I could say that although many jurisdictions in America have advanced sustainable finance actions, sustainable financing continues to fall short of the region's large SDG financing requirements. A recent 2021 report by the Inter-American Development Bank shows that it estimates that for the investment in the Latin America and the Caribbean, would need to be by 2030 at least $2,200 billion to expand and maintain the required necessary infrastructure to fulfill the SDGs related to water and sanitation, electricity, transportations, and telecommunications. So specifically, this report highlights that Brazil is a country with the highest investment needs of the region, accounting for above a third of that amount. So, as I have said, the countries in the Americas are at varying stage of progress in sustainable finance, not only because they have the challenges that I have just described, but also because they have, let's say, general challenge to their capital markets as emerging economies. Given the fact that the region requires local and regional specificities to be considered when driving the global convergence toward the sustainable financial system, it is a pleasure to be here stressing that FC4S is strengthening the work in the region by creating the FC4S Americas Hub, and this would support regional members, which are 3 at the moment, Rio, Mexico City, and Finance Montreal, to develop further growth in their sustainable finance ecosystem and align their financial system to the SDGs and the Paris Agreement. So this hub will aim to be a center of activity dedicated to capturing, exchanging, and sharing information, sharing experiences, and encouraging regional financial integration. The hub will provide technical assistance, capacity building activities, and a trusted source of knowledge and resources to support financial centers in the region overcome the barriers I have just mentioned and the broader barriers of sustainable finance. Focusing a bit more on Brazil, representing Brazil, the lab, I hope, will help to enhance FC4S understanding of the challenges and opportunities that sustainable finance has in the Americas. If I may, given time constraints, I would like to briefly highlight 3 aspects that have, let's say, stand out from the first edition, from Brazil, because as the lab joined the FC4S network, as Vasco mentioned, in October 2020, and that's why they undertook the assessment program for the first time in 2021. The lab scores at the FC4S median level on all of the pillars, which are institutional foundations, enabling environment, and market infrastructure. And indeed, it scores even slightly outperforming the enabling environment pillar. And I would like to highlight 3 key aspects that made this result possible. First of all, on institutional foundations, the lab stands out as a well-established, dedicated initiative, ensuring a solid representation of different stakeholders. This positions Rio de Janeiro on the top 40% of financial centers in our respondents list, and is key because it enables multi-stakeholder approaches, and for example, when developing or implementing sustainable finance roadmap, this has been shown to be key. Then regarding the integration of the SDGs at financial center level, Rio outperforms the global median score of financial centers, for example, with several, let's say, action plans or strategies, but particularly has an action plan on SDG 7, affordable and clean energy, and strategies in gender equality, clean water, industry innovation and infrastructure, and climate action. This, again, stands out as a best practice. And last, the lab distinguishes itself, as I mentioned, on the enabling environment, for the availability and awareness of public instruments and incentives in place. And also on professional development and education, the lab had at least one educational activity on every topic listed on the assessment program, which is really important because as they mentioned in the previous panel, there are different, let's say, there are different, there are different specific skills that different stakeholders should have. And in that sense, it's important to, let's say, consider the diverse aspects of sustainability within training. So to conclude, I would like to stress and replicate a quote from Mr. Dinoya from earlier this morning, that he mentioned that addressing the SDG gaps in Brazil could be understood as an opportunity to further develop its local capital market and contribute soundly and efficiently to the climate transition. Thank you.
Muito obrigado.
Thank you so much, especially for the effort of saying so much in such short time. As a member of the lab, I am very proud of being part of this network and of being one of the co-founders of an initiative of the Americas that I'm sure is going to go beyond and have other financial centers. We hope that the lab will also come into the reference center. We are running out of time, but it's just a quick question so that we can move on. Well, the question we got was related to cryptocurrency safety. When we talk about security, cryptocurrency security, then we have a number of layers. The first one is a technology layer, which has an impact on the dynamics of use and the dynamics of the economy. So the technology security confers more transparency, and everyone can look into their assets, their positions, how much they have in each portfolio, and then they can even know where the portfolios are, and showing ownership also. So today this confers transparency, which we don't have with conventional money. We can't track it. Security, when it comes to governance, when we move from the technology layer and we move to the next one, we go through regulation, which have had a lot of progress. The IRS 188, the registration of the companies, but this is not enough. We understand we need to have a bill that will determine the rules for the sector, what regulatory agencies are going to supervise the sector, and in what cases, until the next step, which is going to be taken. Lab CVM initiatives, SENMOX, these are initiatives that have helped discuss the regulatory framework, the changes in the regulatory framework for the technology. So this is evolving. This is being built. It's a new sector. So it's very important to see actions such as this one that show proximity and the vision, how this technology can help and transform the whole of the national economy. So on the one hand, we have this security. On the other hand, what has the market been doing in order to help structuring this security? We are self-regulated at the association on money laundering prevention and conduct, standards and good practices, and we work very hard with education. we have been talking about having agreements in order to structure the education arm so that we can disseminate and see how we can use these in the new economy. This is very relevant when we speak about security in national crypto environment. This is what it looks like. Yes, financial education is the first line of defense for an investor. I think the partnership that's going to be announced soon is going to take huge steps in this direction. With this, I am going to close this panel and ask you to give our panelists a big hand. And then I return the floor to our MC. Thank you so much, Vasco. Thank you so much to the participants of the panel. Please go back to your seats. And now we are moving towards the final panel of our event, which is going to talk about green investment in Rio de Janeiro. For this, we'd like to invite Chicão Bulhões, former Secretary of Economic Development, lawyer, and former Secretary of the Environment of Rio de Janeiro, Eduardo Cavalheiro, and Vice President of Invest.Rio, Júlio César Azevedo, who is going to be the moderator of this panel. Those who are interested in sending questions to the panelists, please do write them down on a piece of paper, and then whenever we have time, we'll answer them. You have the floor, Mr. Azevedo, the moderator.
Obrigado, João.
Thank you so much, João. First of all, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Chicão, Eduardo, everyone. I am a man, a white man. I'm 33 years old. I'm wearing a blue blazer, a white t-shirt, as well as brown pants. I'm going to try and be brief in my introductions in order to let the other participants speak. As I said before, Rio de Janeiro has a major role in the environmental agenda. This has been very clear since Rio 92, Rio Plus 20, and now Rio Plus 30 this year. So since the beginning of the administration of Mayor Paz and the Sustainable Development Plan, there is an important section on economic development with the environment. Last year, we created a work group, which is called the Green Stock Exchange, to create a carbon market in the city of Rio de Janeiro, as well as efforts on preserving the environmental assets of the city, such as the forests, parks, rivers, and lagoons. Here we have two active participants, Cavalieri and Chicão, both former secretaries. So first I'll give the floor to Cavalieri. I'll remind you that in the year 2000, we had the first emission inventory. Rio was the first city, right? And the last inventory says that we emit 20 million tons of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. And in our plan, we have established the commitment of being a carbon neutral city until 2050. In your opinion, what are the main challenges of a city like Rio de Janeiro to reach that goal? First of all, I'd like to greet everybody, to greet my fellow panelists, both of you, my dear colleagues. I can see familiar faces, dear friends. I'd like to thank our hosts. It's always a pleasure to be here. This audience is very diverse, but there are a number of lawyers and financial market people. I will introduce myself. I am a white man with black hair. I'm wearing jeans, brown shoes. I am 180 meters in height. and wearing a green sweater as always. I think we will be speaking quite a bit about our initiatives. Just to give you the backdrop, where are we when it comes to carbon markets, emissions inventory, and how Rio has been isolated in the last few years? We had a major challenge initially. Rio wanted to be in the center of the international scene, where it has had a history of active participation, especially since 1992. Be it in technology innovation as well as climate and environment, we are now trying to recover this important role. It was very clear from the onset by the mayor to look for places where we could signal that the city was back in action when it comes to this scenario, and the climate debate has an international side to it. And it was urgent to tackle these issues. So we placed the city as a candidate, and I placed myself as a candidate to join the capitals into a sustainability forum and climate forum. And the main agenda at the COP26 last year was to bring the commitments from the Rio de Janeiro city to the climate agenda. What would that mean? Rio and other capitals of Brazil. Well, we had issued the emission inventories, and especially after Mayor was the chairman of the C40, and so many mayors joined together to sign the Paris Agreement. From that on, cities started to have an important role in addressing climate goals for emission reduction. Rio de Janeiro was a leader in the year 2000. We started with the inventory, and more recently, pressure was more how much we can generate and how do we get there. And zero carbon in 2050, it's always good to place this in an urban context. The debate is still concentrated on forests. A lot of the cities that emit a lot of greenhouse gases has to do with deforestation in the Amazon. The Rio de Janeiro city is related to steel making, but this doesn't go into the inventory because of a methodology issue. Waste, organic waste, with 7 million people living here, and a greater Rio, 12 million people. Civil construction waste as well as transportation, to look into 2050 with carbon neutral scenario. And then I'm saying this for you to imagine the size of the opportunity when you establish climate goals. And obviously lawyers should think about amounts and to make this possible financially. Those who are in the market, who are looking to these assets, what's the size of the economic opportunity? How do we assess that? We launched a climate package with measures aligned with the Sustainable Development Plan, and that gradually every 4 years would take the city into a carbon neutral scenario. And at the same time, we need to find ways of assessing assets, attracting the market, otherwise we won't get there. And 1/3 of our emissions have something to do with bad waste management. One of the most successful initiatives from 2007 onwards and from 2014 onwards has to do with turning waste into energy. This generates a real economy opportunity, as well as how much the city is not going to emit until 2050. So this is just a background so you can see that Rio has an important role, because we have quickly launched a package of measures that somehow is going to get us into the Race to Zero initiative signed by so many cities. And at the same time, Rio has concrete initiatives giving you a clue on how to get there. But the challenge ahead, I have been with the future chairman of CVM, João Pedro. I'd like to thank Marcelo Bardovov, the current chairman, for his invitation, and to talk about how many opportunities, how do we reduce emissions and generate new markets, new economy. And the mayor is very available for that, and CVM is also here as a strategic, within a strategic role, and the city authorities can play a role, an important role too, and that is what Chicão has been making a huge effort to achieve. Thank you so much, Eduardo. It's very clear that Rio de Janeiro is a leader in the race, really recovering an important role and looking at the need of preserving environmental assets, not only from the environmental point of view, but also with the economic potential related to it. We understand, as what everyone says, that Brazil is the carbon credit Saudi Arabia. Chicão, you have been working on this Green Stock Exchange initiative, and we are about to celebrate the first year when the mayor signed a decree that created a group with so many of the organs that are present here today. I'd like you to comment on your perspective. What are the results achieved by this group, and how you see the future potential of this market for the city of Rio de Janeiro? Well, good afternoon, everyone. A pleasure to be here with you. Julio, Piquet, Maria, Eduardo, the people from the British government also supporting this event. Thank you so much. So many of the various secretaries in the government of Rio de Janeiro. Well, first thing I want to say is that I'm very happy to be here because this is a result of a team work, starting with Invest.Rio, a brilliant team that has been around me and when I was at the department, and that has brought other actors that have been mistreated in the last few years, and they have resisted so well, and those who are still resisting, such as the federal agency CVM. I'd like to thank CVM. CVM has always been a partner of the city authorities. Mayor Pais has been and is very active in this topic. We did sit with the chair of the central bank, the development bank, been a partner in this effort. Everything that brings things back to Rio de Janeiro. People from finance, a part of them never left this city, but now we rekindle the discussion and bring Rio into the debate, as Eduardo has said, to talk about the future and sustainability, to talk about protection of the standing forest economy. We need to work out financial instruments so we have a transition from this consumer capitalism. Other industrialized countries have less this cost to us. This is an important debate globally that we need to make clear the roles of the countries. Obviously, the cities are inserted in this scenario too, but the role of the countries is a role of debate and historical recognition, so we can evolve and make Rio de Janeiro, not only Rio de Janeiro, but the whole of the country, as a major role player in this. So we have a new path that is open today. A number of paths that represent only the beginning of the journey. Rio de Janeiro can attract investment. The green economy can create so many jobs, and obviously this is divided into sectors. If we don't discuss the regulated market, when it comes to the bill that is at the Congress, if we don't discuss this, we are going to miss the opportunities that are knocking on our door to recover the economy. We have talked about inflation. We have talked about increase in interest rates. These are very difficult issues. That is a global issue. And Brazil has the instruments for Rio to start out and the leadership, and now it's a historical window of opportunity so that Brazil evolves in this market regulation, so that we discuss federal decrees that have been issued recently that have signaled towards this direction. And Rio de Janeiro, as Marcel has said previously, continues to be an important hub for tax collection, especially when it comes to tax on services. Rio exports a lot of talented people. We supply good people to São Paulo and other places that use what our most important wealth, which is our people. The best universities are here. PUC, FGV, IBMEC, IME, IMPA, the State University, the Federal University. But we end up exporting this labor because they see opportunities outside. And that's why we started to join crypto. That was mentioned before, the blockchain, the green economy. In our opinion, this is the major talent for Rio de Janeiro, and these are the most sustainable solutions in the long term for economic recovery of the city. The fact that we're here today and the fact there have been other events shows that Mayor Ed Pais is on the right track, and having his team to promote actions in so many sectors, and so that the center of reference is not just going to be the museum of tomorrow, but can talk to the rest of the city. All corners of the city, and technology now makes that possible. Great, Chicão. To connect your speech as well as Eduardo's speech, when the city is committed to being carbon neutral, you need to do it with the population. You need to do it with other companies, with companies to participate. All sectors of the economy sometime will have to change their production ways, development and logistic ways. And there has been a project that has been delivered on the idea that a tax benefit should be given to production sector so that that sector contributes to reduction in carbon emissions. So going to this next question, as Chicão has mentioned, we know that the regulated market is under discussion in Brasilia. We don't have a regulated market such as the one in China, the US, and Europe. And now this is under debate in Brasilia. A reason for concern to the market and environmentalists, so that we have a clear framework to provide legal security for players in all sectors of the economy. I'd like to hear your perspective on how you see the impact not only on the city but as on the country as a whole for this new regulation of the regulated carbon market. Well, first of all, I need to stress the urgency for this to be approved. We have a common assumption here. We are working on the same assumption that there's only one way, as mentioned by Chicão, which is the standing forest, and at the same time make sure that there is food security for Brazil and other countries in the world. So these two issues impact. I just came back from Stockholm Plus 50, the celebration of the first climate summit in Stockholm in 1972. And the tone is to recognize the urgency, and from that urgency, how much you need to mobilize actors into one direction. Brazil does need to approve the regulated market legislation. Chicão is very well prepared to deal with this with the right urgency. There is the regulated market, but also a regulation that will create payment for environmental services. So these are the two challenges that Brazil will have to very quickly tackle, not to miss the window of opportunities on what the environmental ministry can do to expand the role of Brazil in this sense, and large contracts, and when it comes to carbon credits, large projects. We're talking about a huge scale, a Brazil scale, but a lot of the initiatives that we need to develop are local initiatives and that somehow already exist. And for scaling it, we need to find ways from the market or the government to remunerate the initiatives that have the capacity to preserving smaller areas. Sometimes there's not very big, large areas or large contracts. Just to give you an idea. So if you take one of these projects or the credit under the standard international certificate, $10 million, $15 million, $50 million, $100 million, but we have a lot of people that could be involved in simpler initiatives. For example, how to preserve the nature, and so. But they only need less bureaucracy to have access to resources to carry on their climate actions. So if you go to international forum, the whole debate revolves around, obviously, countries need to urgently approve the regulated market. There is increased interest in buying and selling green assets, and also to involve large projects and accelerate the whole chain. But one priority that needs to be a national priority is also to make sure from bottom up that small initiatives can be financed and grow until an intermediary size and then scaling out. If you look at the state of Acre, the discussions have something to do with small farmers. If you can, instead of chopping down trees, they can have an agricultural and forestry unit producing food, signing contracts with companies. There are so many examples like this. A very well-known example, I don't know if Tennis Verde is an initiative that keeps the trees up, and has environmental services that is paid for with an agreement that is directly signed with a cooperative, and then you have great environmental results. So we need legislation for both sides, both for the regulated market for large contracts, but also bottom up, reducing bureaucracy, making sure that those small size ones can get access to finance to move on with their initiatives. Thank you so much, Eduardo. We're really looking forward for modern legislation coming out of Brasilia, and that is going to absorb best practices in the market, and Brazil really can develop this potential market from small to big size farmers, all actors in preserving our environmental assets. And now going to my last question, Chicão, something very specific of our Rio de Janeiro economy. There are essential sectors for the economy, which is oil and gas, for example. They have been impacted by the energy transition movement, and companies have already discussed this and are positioning themselves in the transition process. But at the same time, this generates impacts on the city, and we hope that these will be positive impacts. So within this context, we have seen ESG really permeating companies. This is not just Brazil agenda, but an international initiative. And I'd like to see how you have seen ESG agenda in our economy and the role it has played in the cultural transformation of companies.
I skipped my description. We don't have this habit. It's a great habit. Well, I'm sitting, a white man, 1 meter 75, shirt, trousers, wearing beard. And to answer your question, Julio, talking about the war in Ukraine and gas supply. Russia is an important gas supplier in Europe, and due to the war, some European countries now have to reinvest in thermal power plants. And that's one big criticism that European countries have, because they're highly pollutant in terms of generating energy. And at the same time that you do that, you discuss climate emergencies. So there's the emergencies of human relations, and there's the emergencies of climate that we have to face very clearly. And for that, we're talking about financial instruments that allow for that. So in a scenario of urgency, like this one, for instance, or in a scenario with consolidated economies with some commodities, like Rio de Janeiro, for instance, which is a state that depends heavily on oil extraction and royalties that come from that. And it's a high pollution activity that affects our goals. So how can we continue to have that, to have instruments that are still important even though we are in a transition process, at the same time that we can work on these goals of being a neutral district at the city center? The city has established a target of making the center a carbon neutral district by 2030. And that's why we insist that Rio becoming this global reference is an opportunity that companies that are here and that work with oil and gas, if we advance in this federal regulation, we should talk about this method that several countries adopted to set targets for the industries. We should do that, and based on that target, whatever is generated in terms of gases should be negotiated by the companies that need that. And I think this market this way is better, and it complements the voluntary market. You mentioned the neutral ISS in Rio de Janeiro. Bill of law was sent to the chamber in Rio de Janeiro establishing a neutral ISS that will give a discount on ISS taxes to the entire chain related to carbon credit, so that we can try to encourage this market. In Rio de Janeiro, recently this year, in March, the first auction in the world in urban micromobility was held. That was held successfully by Air Carbon Exchange, a big platform in the voluntary market that made this operation directly from Rio de Janeiro extremely successful. And everything indicates that the more sustainable businesses, and Cavalieri mentioned several, for us to neutralize and at the same time have some industries here that's important socially. And from the fiscal perspective, the state of Rio de Janeiro, and you specifically focused on oil and gas, again, back to what I was saying, there's no sustainable development way or economic development path in the 21st century that's not sustainable. If we destroy our home, there's no sustainability. Where are we going? Are we going to take the SpaceX and land in Mars and hope everything will work? So again, we're pioneers in this subject, and once again, we cannot.
Só governos. A gente não pode.
It's up to society to work with that. We have governmental agencies that are here. We have you sitting with us, and you are part of the society that will take this forward. And everybody here in this room is an ambassador to Rio de Janeiro. Everybody, that when we take a flight and go somewhere, whether it is to Sao Paulo, Pernambuco, or abroad, somebody's going to ask you what's happening in Rio de Janeiro, what's going on there, and what opportunities are going on and are happening in Rio de Janeiro. Okay, there's the oil industry. Okay, great, wonderful. It's great that it's here, but we have so many other opportunities and so many other things happening in the city. And again, we just needed some pressure from the administration, and society responded positively. We had several events. We've been in other events about the same subject here at the Museum tomorrow, and hopefully we're going to have many more. Last time I was here, I was with a big entrepreneur from the crypto world, from Binance, for us to try to bring more crypto brokers.
Maravale, que é um nome brega mesmo, a gente sempre fala que é, mas é um nome.
And it's something that we're going to be bringing to Rio. Now we're going to have a university that will educate people, which is the INPA, equivalent to the Nobel Prize in Math, and it will talk to the innovation hub that will be there as well in the port region, where there's Invest.Rio and the Museum of Tomorrow and the instruments and where things are happening. Let's not take the carbon prints to Sao Paulo. Let's bring them over to Rio de Janeiro so that we can believe again that Rio de Janeiro is a global city. That's absolutely fundamental for Brazil. It's the second biggest economy in Brazil. We're talking about billions of dollars in investments that can come to Rio and millions of job positions that can be created and programming. And we talked with programmers from Rio because everybody is as a platform, B3 as a platform. It's much more online than offline. And this work in maintenance and developing apps and software and products, the sandboxing of CVM, testing new financial products, is closely connected to the development of these new technologies that will establish a connection with these future professions. Programmers from Rio will educate 5,000 new programmers from Rio and refugees to have qualified workforce. So this entire project is connected to every sector, and I'm sure that the oil sector that is here, the big oil companies have understood. Of course, you can't simply close their doors overnight, and big companies that are in Rio de Janeiro are making their transitions and getting ready for a different future. So we cannot be lagging behind and blocked and locked in the past. We have to stop discussing the Rio that has been. We have to discuss the Rio of today and tomorrow, and that's the message that we want to see you disseminate. Please talk about Rio de Janeiro and talk about what's happening in Rio. It's not about defending the government or politicians. It's about defending the society and what the city's been doing with the instruments that we have, and say good things about what we have. It's not about having problems. We have several problems, but we should transform these problems into opportunities with social pacts and transforming businesses so that we can become this big hub that will make us proud to be this reference center that will be in Rio de Janeiro. CVM will not go away. Don't let them go to Brasilia, Vasco. Take the public servants and let's make a demonstration. We'll join you if necessary. Let's not let CVM leave Rio de Janeiro, okay? And we want to keep leading this initiative. Thank you.
Faço coro aí junto com o Chicão, a CVM não pode ir embora não, gente. E o centro de...
And, well, the center of reference will become a center of excellence, for sure. And I'll give you 2 minutes for your final comments. And also, Eduardo, there was a question in the audience from Gabriel talking about the launch of the Reciclamize program that encourages the cooperatives by the payment of CDRs. And he asks how you think Rio could do something like that. And please, for your final words as well. Well, in terms of the city, the law of economic freedom responds to one of the biggest concerns of this segment of recycling, especially to garbage recyclers that used to live in a scenario of institutional violence, as it were. And there was a high difficulty being legalized due to the licenses. There was assumption that the segment would need a license from the smallest one to the biggest one, but with the law of economic freedom, if on the one hand you have a premise of licensing, on the other hand they are legalized activities that do not require a specific license and that can take credit and open their businesses, the garbage recycler can look for other ways to organize themselves, because it's now easier to organize these activities legally. And I think that, as I mentioned in the beginning, the waste chain, which is responsible for part of our emissions, will undoubtedly have to be addressed directly. It's a huge opportunity, whether it is through cardboard, plastic, paper. And just as a reminder, we have reasons to look forward and believe it is possible. Talking about hope, 97% of the soda cans consumed in Brazil are recycled. And from glass bottles, 50% are recycled. That's far from ideal, but these are numbers that lead us to believe that this is possible. Waste, resources, and the more we can relieve the environment from that. These chains are historically informal. Civil construction, we have to encourage those that intend to become legalized, and criminalizing building companies that want to get a license to produce housing. Well, if you're seeking to do that, you're an enemy of the environment, because the first step in the environmental chain is to get those that are illegal and making them legal, because with that we can regulate, encourage, incentivize, and give credit so that these production chains are not informal, as recycling was for so many years, and as the landfills are still are in civil construction. And we have to fight so that these chains that have a high impact on the environment, or that get their revenue from the preservation of the environment, which is the case of waste, that they're all in a fully legal cycle. I just wanted to take this opportunity to say that, yes, it is possible. I believe that Rio de Janeiro City, just as a reminder,
a cidade chegou a não ter secretaria de meio ambiente durante 2 anos e meio da última gestão.
Since the last administration, it was not just about the lack of priority in the government, but there was no sanitary planning in the city of Rio de Janeiro. In a short period of time, we were able to address policies, and that was not only an empty speech to do lobby on the streets. Quite the contrary, it was a policy of the city in housing, economic development, or the environment, but we really prioritize that for the city. It's a government that believes that this is a priority of the country and that this is the only way possible. and more than that, for Rio de Janeiro City, that this is an economic solution, a social solution, and a perspective of a future that fills us with hope, and that the city of Rio can be the protagonist in this story, developing economically viable production chains, generating job positions, and making Rio de Janeiro this hub for the preservation of the environment.
Discutiu várias políticas econômicas dando uma lógica sustentável. Foi o período que a cidade mais criou a área protegida na história da cidade.
And in 1 year and a half, millions and millions and millions of square meters were protected with planning and units of preservation and planning the management of these areas without harming the economic sector that intends to produce and make their undertakings feasible. So economic development and the environment, it's not that they are incompatible or that they can't coexist. There's only one way forward, which is to identify opportunities, and Rio can be an example not only to Brazil but to the world. I think we're on the way there, as long as the market, the civil society, and the government believe and understand that this is a solution for Brazil and Rio. Thank you, Eduardo. I'll give the floor to Chicão. I want to thank everybody and to congratulate the Museum of Tomorrow and Invest.Rio and CVM and everybody who worked hard to make this a reality in Rio de Janeiro. And the technical work group from the Rio de Janeiro government. If you haven't seen the report, if you're interested, you can access it on the website. It's a new instrument in the city. If you want to monitor the entire economic activity in the city and the indexes, everything's being published at the economicobservatory.rio. If it's not there, please let me know. And, well, I want to say that it's a pleasure to be here with you, with Cavalieri. As we said, we worked on this jointly. And once again, this is just the beginning. It has to be just the beginning of this discussion that Mayor Eduardo Paes started and that all of the players have embraced, because I truly believe that this is an instrument to really recover our economic activities in Rio de Janeiro, and hopefully I'll be able to contribute to this discussion in the next few years. Thank you.
Muito obrigado a todos pela presença. Obrigado.
Thank you for your presence. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Ricardo, for opening up the doors of the museum and CVM and the UK Embassy. Want to thank again all the attendees, and we're a bit past our original agenda, but hopefully this has been a fruitful morning. Thank you.
E sem dúvida foi, Júlio. Pode ficar tranquilo.
It certainly was an extremely fruitful morning, Julio. I want to thank the participants of this panel and everybody who was with us at the Museum of Tomorrow and everybody who watched us live at the CVM Educational Channel on YouTube. On behalf of OECD, CVM, the UK Embassy in Brazil, Invest.Rio, and the Museum of Tomorrow, I wish you a great day, and hopefully we'll see each other again in the near future. Thank you.